Dr. Vicky here. I'd like to talk to you briefly about visual mapping, the elements of information visualization. Information visualization requires mapping data in a visual or occasionally auditory format for the user of the visualization. This can be challenging because while some data has a spatial relationship built in, for example, temperatures in cities around the country, many data sets don't have a traditional spatial relationship. For example, salaries within an organization. That means the information visualization designer needs to think carefully about the way they intend to represent their data and create structures that support that representation in order to bring out the magic. There are three elements to define for an information visualization according to Card, McKinley, and Schneiderman in their text, Readings and Information Visualization, Using Vision to Think. They are the spatial substrate, the graphical elements, and the graphical properties. Here, the spatial substrate is two-dimensional. The graphical elements are points and lines, and the properties are the size of points, length of lines, the orientation of the lines, and the color blue. Defining the three elements we will use within a visual map provides a strong structure for the overall visualization. It can also help us as information visualization designers to gain a better understanding of the data we are trying to portray and how it might be used to deliver value to our end users. The spatial substrate is the space in which we're going to create our visualization, the actual canvas. The vast majority of information visualization takes place in a two-dimension space along an X and Y axis. However, it is possible to create three-dimensional and even hyperdimensional representations too, but not often, and it's very advanced. It's important to consider which axis you will use and what kind of data will map to each individual axis. Data may be quantitative, for example, it has a numerical measurement of some quality of the data set. Ordinal, it is not associated with a number, but still offers some form of order, for example, months in a calendar year. Nominal, in nominal, the data is a collection of non-numerical and non-ordered data. For example, the names of the members of Parliament. Graphical elements are the visual elements that will appear in the spatial substrate, which means the elements that will appear on your canvas. There are four kinds of visual elements: points, lines, surfaces, and volumes. In our sample visualization, the graphical elements are the points and the line. Graphical elements should be chosen for their clarity when conveying data, unless, of course, the intention is to deliberately confuse the user or to persuade them of something that the data does not actually represent. This is unethical, however, and it would be naive to pretend it doesn't happen. Both corporations and politicians can be especially guilty of this behavior. Graphical properties are properties which can be applied to the graphical elements, which make them more noticeable to the eye and or valuable to the user of the representation. There are many possible graphical properties that can be applied to your graphical elements, but the most commonly used are size. The size of a point, surface, or volume can convey information about significance or weight. Orientation. The orientation of a line or volume in space can help clarify the purpose of the line or volume. Color. Color coding can be used to provide a visual key to data or to provide a call to attention to the eye. Textures can be used to provide visual keys to data. Shapes. Hexagons, circles, triangles, etc. can be used to provide a visual key to data. In our sample visualization, size refers to the size of the circle, orientation is the direction of the line, color is blue, and the point is in the shape of the circle. To conduct visual mapping to create an information visualization, we must first define the spatial substrate, two-dimensional. We can then consider the graphical elements, points and lines, we will use within that substrate, and finally, which properties, size of points, orientation of line, color of point, shape of point, we will use to assist these elements to convey as much meaning as possible to the user. I hope that clarified visual mapping. If you have any questions, as always, please let me know. Have a great week.